this conversation, Martha comes to know Jesus, and I want you to appreciate this. She decides to leave everybody, leave the home, leave all that. Mary does not. Mary doesn't have this conversation. In fact, you'll see here in a moment, Mary misses out in some respects, and we'll see why. So Jesus keeps going. He who believes in me will live even if he dies, and everyone who lives, believes in me, will never die. Do you believe this? I like the dialogue. They're going back and forth. I love the conversation. I love that it's in the middle of a horrible time. I love that Jesus shows up and says, hey, I can appreciate you're going through a difficult season, but I just want you to know I'm resurrection. Nothing's impossible with me. I understand. And he's dead and in the grave and stiff. But I'm still resurrection. I still got possibilities here that you probably haven't even thought of. So she says, yes, Lord, I believe. You're the Christ, the Son of God, even the one who comes into the world. So this is interesting. And this conversation is very, very... She walks away, I think, having this sense of, wait a second, I think Jesus has something bigger going on here. And in those conversations with God, I want to encourage you that you let God blow your mind. Let God blow out what's possible. Impossible, I don't think that's part of God's vocabulary, is impossible. We have it because we're finite. But I think she walks away like, whew, that was really fascinating. I think something's going on here bigger than what I anticipated. So she goes and she finds Mary. And over here, she comes to Mary and says, hey, secretly, the teacher, verse 28, the teacher is calling for you. And when Mary heard it, just stay here, she got up quickly and was coming to Jesus. So that conversation finished, but it was quite extensive conversation. So now Mary pops up and she comes and runs out to find Jesus. And when she gets there, verse 32, it says, therefore, when Mary came to where Jesus was, she saw him and fell at his feet. Well, the last time we saw Mary, she was also at Jesus' feet, right? She's sitting at his feet listening to him teach. So she's got this foot thing going for Jesus, whatever that means. So she falls at his feet, and this is what she says. Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. Feels like Pete and repeat, right? Because Pete said it over there. Now she's repeating it. And he's like, yeah, okay. So she falls at his feet, and when Jesus therefore saw her weeping at his feet, and the Jews also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit. The conversation that happens, you see the conversation with Martha and Jesus. There's a lot more dialogue to it. But the conversation that happens here, Mary comes, finds Jesus, falls at his feet, weeping. She's unraveled, family. When you look this up in the Greek, weep, this word weep, this isn't like kind of that misty little tear thing, a little drop here and there. This is that gut-wrenching, wailing and moaning. It's grief. I mean, if you've ever heard somebody in the throes of grief and the intensity of it, that's how she's crying. So this conversation, and I appreciate that this conversation is messy. I mean, she's a hot mess. And I love the contrasts. I love the contrast because I, in my opinion, it expresses the differences in personality. She's unraveled. She is a mess. She's slobbering. Her nose is running. The stuff is everywhere. She's crying. She's completely lost it. She's unraveled. She's at his feet. And I think she's angry. She's upset. She's hurt. She's disappointed. She's sad. She picked the whole spectrum of all of it. And she's messy. And she says, if you'd been here, he wouldn't have died. It's not that same, if you wouldn't have been, it's different. How many of you see the difference, the contrast? And I love that this is equally a viable conversation every bit as much as that.